great over. Look at that. A double wicket maiden from the skipper. None for two.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Double Wicket Maiden. You may have noticed we were gone for a long time, but we promised that we'd be back with a surprise, and here we are. This is a very special episode because Iman and I are joined by Assad. You might know him as Cover Drive on Twitter. So if you're here, you probably did come across our tweets about this new thing that we've started. It's called the Pinch Hitters Network, and this is where Double Wicket Maiden has found its new home. I let Asa take over and explain because it was his brainchild. And then we'll get on with the rest of the episode. I hope you missed hearing us rant about cricket because a lot more of that is coming over here.
Thank you, Zoha, and I am glad to be on Double Wicket Maiden. I know we discussed uh, me appearing at some point, obviously under different circumstances to talk about. I think it was post PSL or something. But then cricket sort of just stopped. I mean, not cricket, but Pakistan cricket just stopped. The only thing that was left to talk about was the circus that is the PCB, and I don't think anyone wants to listen to one of our podcasts about that because that would take like a new podcast every 3 days because something seems to be changing every single day. But yeah, no, I am glad to be with you guys. I, as the listeners will know, that I have my own podcast, the Cover Drive podcast, and contrary to popular beliefs, most of us have jobs, so staying on top of recording podcasts weekly is quite the challenge. So this is something I've been thinking about for a while that, maybe I should team up with someone. And we can kind of work on it together so that not we don't need to be the same people on every episode necessarily. And that's sort of where my train of thought started. And at some point after the PSL is where I thought, hey, Iman and Zoha have their show. They've also gone on a bit of a hiatus because they're busy, and I think this could work out where it's like we both have our shows. We don't have to like really get rid of it, but we can coexist under a single parent brand, and that's where I decided to reach out to the two of you. And just the idea of teaming up with two friends to do this made it quite easy because obviously we've known each other for the better part of a year and a half, 2 years now through
Yeah.
Twitter. And yeah, I remember we chatted about this first like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, but as
Yeah.
I said, cricket was not happening. So finally, the Pakistan Sri Lanka series is here, and now we can get started. And obviously, you might have noticed today I'm on Double Wicket Maiden. You guys can expect to see a lot more overlap where sometimes you'll see Zoha and Iman on Cover Drive podcasts. You'll see me on Double Wicket Maiden and vice versa.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
sometimes we'll drag our other friends over to either podcast as well. Because like and this is true for both CD Zohan and me, that whenever we get together, whether it's with some other friends or whether it's just three of us, we don't shut up about cricket. Our 15-minute check-ins or like 30-minute, let's see what's going on, guys, ends up like a 1.5 hour meeting where we're just ranting about cricket in general, but also Pakistan cricket specifically, mostly the PCB and what's going on. But yeah, let's get started. Do you want to start with the test series then? Sri Lanka versus Pakistan. The squad's been announced. We've got a few hours really before the series starts. CD, thoughts on the squad? Who are you excited to see? Who are you surprised by? What are you hoping for? What are you scared about?
I was really excited to see Herrera in the squad. I am still not emotionally recovered from us not letting Azhar Ali get to 100 tests. Just to see Shan Masood put out some Zainab Market version of basketball on display. So yeah, I will continue to be salty about that. Whoever plays number 3 from now on has to step into some pretty massive shoes.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, I was so petty that I started a whole cricket captain save where I got Azhar past 100 tests. And ironically enough, he won us test in Sri Lanka, scoring a century in the fourth innings in his 100th test in my save.
I
So
guarantee we will need a match-saving knock in the fourth innings. I mean, assuming that we're chasing, but I'm pretty sure at one point we will be chasing. I'm pretty sure at one
yeah,
point that simulation kind of will work in Sri Lanka's favor, where they're going to be like spinning a web around us. We need someone to save our ass. And then will Sean step up in that moment? Who knows? We will see.
I mean
But yeah, go
he
on.
did pretty well in the tour match against the three. I think it was the Prime Minister's 11 or whatever you call it.
Okay,
Um,
explain that to me actually. Is that squad that they were playing against good? Because I know ours was. Was it Sri Lanka's actual test team, or why is it called the Prime
no.
Minister's 11?
I mean, I think it's their second tier of players essentially,
Yeah.
because the only guy I noticed there was Oshada Fernando.
Ah, yeah, the one
Uh,
who did well in the first innings, yeah.
um, he was the only one I noticed who'd actually played for Sri Lanka before. There might have
Yeah.
been more there. I can't
Yeah.
remember off the top of my head.
Oh.
And funnily enough, I was talking to Abdullah Bhai about it, and he was like, Oshada Fernando, not as sort of like, I remember someone, I don't know who brought up that, oh, why did he get dropped from Sri Lanka team? He's like, oh, he wasn't doing too well. But guess who he has his only century against? And drum roll for Pakistan, because obviously everyone has their only century against us.
We can't really rate Sean's performance then. That's the conclusion I'm getting.
Um, yeah, I guess so. Like, but again, it's a tour match. How much really can we read into it to begin with?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I was shamelessly hyping up Hassan Ali's wickets in that game, so I'm not going to pretend Sean's
Yeah.
performance didn't matter.
See, that's
Um,
allowed.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like the three of us have very specific standards as to uh who gets exceptional prop and who gets exceptional criticism. And but like you said, number three, those are big shoes to fill, and it's not just because of Azhar. It's an incredibly important position in our team.
Yeah.
Especially with the way that we don't even know if Fine Imam was a shoe-in for this tour. We don't know if he's going to be a shoe-in for the next. Uh, there have been some rumors floating around. We've got Herrera in the test squad, which means we're bringing a youngster in, which means he might just also go to Australia. So there's so many questions with our top order. So obviously it's a lot harder for Sean to make a case, or for Sean to prove himself. And it's not easier for Hassan Ali, for us to praise him, because he's Hassan, his success is personal for everyone. And if it's not personal for them, they're not important. I don't care.
Anyone who sees Hassan
They
Ali's
don't know
Twitter
cricket.
account, anyone who sees
Exactly.
Hassan Ali's Twitter account and does not like him, I question if you have a heart.
Exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Like, that is the definition of what a Pakistani player who gets dropped from the national team should be, because everyone else just seems to go around on TV channels ranting about how the whole world is against them and how this selected is bad and how this captain is bad. But
Yeah.
Hassan is
Yeah.
just there, he just wants to play his cricket. He doesn't care where it is.
And no
Um,
dirty
Also,
politics. Him and Aju Bhai, they're just amazing. Even when they do get media appearances, the
yeah.
things they say, the grace with which they handle themselves, it's incredible. But yeah,
I
Zoha,
mean,
you were
Azhar
saying.
Ali could fully go on TV and be like, I should have gotten to 100 tests. But did he make a scene out of it? Have we heard a peep out of him ever since he retired? No, we haven't.
He was so respectful about it, even when he was prodded and asked. So I love him. And that video where he was asked, honestly, made me cry.
His
I'll send it to you guys. I'm pretty sure you've seen it, but
his
yeah,
press
Zoha.
conference was, I think the best I've seen. Like, he was so graceful in the press conference. I was crying. Everyone was crying. The entire Pakistan was crying, and there he was like, I know when I need to step down if I'm taking someone else. And I was like, you don't need to step down. You're taking no one's place. And then, the guy whose place he was supposedly taking, I'm not going to talk about it. I blocked January and December from my mind. I do not like to think back, but man, I don't get as angry as I did during the New
I
Zealand series.
literally,
God.
like, thinking, now that you reminded me about that presser, I literally have like, it's like I'm like, the emotions build up every time I think about it, and it's like he was so sad. Like he was crying. I've never seen a Pakistani cricketer be that vulnerable, like upon
Yeah,
retirement. Everyone's either just left, like when they've played a game and they've not known it's their last game, they just get
Yeah.
dropped and they're gone. Or you have
Yeah.
the other end where you have a happy ending, which only happened once, I think,
yeah,
with Misbah and Yunus. That's the only time
yeah,
any player
Yeah.
had a happy ending to their career in Pakistan, apart from
That was
Imran Khan in
insane.
92.
Yeah.
Um, but with Azhar, it's like it was so different. Like we're not used to seeing this human side of Pakistani cricketers. And I think
Yeah.
that's what
yeah,
this generation, like that Misbah captained,
yeah.
it's really made us know these players more as people versus just knowing their
Absolutely.
on-field personalities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even like going back to Hassan Ali's tweets, I think just like not being toxic more than that, his personality shines through. Like Shadab and Shadab maybe not as much, but Babar Rizwan, they're never toxic on social media, but they're so sanitized, I think
Yeah.
would be the right
Curated.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
curated. There, that's not them. But Hassan Ali is Hassan Ali. Like I think the other person who does this well is Shadab. Maybe
Yeah.
Harshnov to some extent, but
Fakhr,
not. Yeah, Fakhr
Fakhr
Yeah,
also.
he's
Zaman.
hilarious.
Fakhr.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
he is
but
my social media goat, man. Like he's the
I
type of
love
guy.
him.
Fakhr is the type of guy I would want to go out for a coffee with. Like
yeah. Oh my
straight up, he
God.
would be so much fun.
I was just saying, I feel like Fakhr is the kind of friend you go out with and come back with a stomachache because you've laughed too much.
He's
Until when
just so
I met
not
him,
serious. He's so not serious all the time.
when I met him in 2018, this was a long time ago, and he just kind of rose to prominence. 2017 has just happened. Everyone knows his name, obviously. He was so awkward because people were like mobbing him, and there were so many people around him. And Irij, my sister, for those who are listening for the first time, just sat next to him, and I have this video of her, and she's just like smiling so big, and Puck is just kind of like all serious, and it's hilarious. So I don't know if he's like that in real life, but I would love to be friends with him. I feel like we're getting the package on social media, but obviously it doesn't translate to real life. Also because it's not great. We were what, teenagers overexcited to meet our cricketing hero. So obviously he was also like, what's going on? But anyways, I wanted to talk about, I know that we're on the conversation where we're talking about an interesting replacement for like a really fixed kind of figure in our test squad. And now we've got Amr Jamal, who's been selected, and Fahim Ashraf is nowhere to be seen. And I'm guessing this also means something maybe for the next series in Australia. I don't know if Amar's going to be seen at all in the Sri Lanka Test series. I want your opinion on that too, whether we should play him or not. But also, what does that mean for us? Are we done with Fahim? Are we now in the age of Amr Jamal?
Um, Zoha is our resident Fahim Ashraf enthusiast. I'll let her take that one.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so I think like when I saw the squad, that was my first reaction. I was like, "Where's Fahim?" Because I have like whenever there's a squad release, I check for like three or four players that I go check. And like it was especially in test squads, it was Fahim Ashraf and Zafar Gohar. I think Zafar Gohar I've made peace with. He's never gonna play for us. I'm done, I guess, crying about it. But Fahim, I was I didn't recognize Amir Jamal's name in there because I just skimmed it. And then I was like, where's Fahim? But then I thought, chalo, Sri Lanka, maybe they're not taking him. So I just let it go. But then I saw someone's tweet that Amir Jamal is going. And I then went back to the spot and I was like, wait, what does this really mean? And then I started to think about the Australia tour and I was like, are they planning to go there without him? And honestly, it might not be correlated, but I got war flashbacks to 2021 New Zealand tour and I was like, we need Fahim Ashraf. We're not going there without him. Like he needs to be there. You can't, like, I get their thinking process too, I guess, but you still need some experience. I think I sound like a broken record when I say this, but you can't take all new guys to a test tour to Australia. It
yeah.
won't work out.
Yeah, no, and when we think about roles and what we'll need in our squad for Australia, or even right now, if you just think of a conditions-less series, and you need a playing 11, if you've got a pace all-rounder, you have to think about what Fahim's done for us in the past. Is Amr Jamal going to offer the control, and is he going to be able to hold one end? And mind you, especially when we consider Australia's conditions, his roles can be incredibly important. And I don't think that we're reading too much into it, because I think that if they weren't considering him, then he wouldn't be anywhere near the squad right now. And I know that he had a decent run last year in the domestic circuit. So it's not like, oh, it's unwarranted. There's clearly something behind it. But, as resident Fahim Ashraf enthusiasts, we're all a bit peeved. CD, what do you think?
My thing is that I don't really doubt Amir Jamal's bowling output. He's done it in the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy. He's shown what he can do with the ball.
Yeah.
But I don't think he is a like-for-like replacement for Fahim Ashraf. But because if we pick up his batting stats at FC
Yeah.
level, his average is only 19. Now I understand he's going to be coming in at like 8 or like 7, but that's still too low
It
for
could
someone
be.
who bats at
Yeah.
that position.
And
And
FC average, yeah.
Fahim averages about 29 in tests, which is obviously there's I think that's a decent enough average considering our
Yeah.
resources at that level. But the thing is that with Fahim, it's not just it's not just the fact that we know he can bat well, it's that he has something most of our batting order lacks in a black foot game, and that's something that always comes to bite us in Australia. If there's any place in the world where we need extra depth in our batting, it's there. And I
But they
don't
don't rate
think we can.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't think they rate his batting very much, to be honest.
I guess not everyone can have the vision of Misbah-ul Haq at the end of the day. But it's simply just I was on Fahim's cricket profile. I did not realize he's still only 29. Like I fully thought he was 32, 33 or something.
Hey, yaar.
It's too early to write off Fahim Ashraf, and I am hoping, because Mickey Arthur did give an interview recently where he said that you're going to see a different squad for Sri Lanka, you're going to see a different squad for Australia because we need to take
Did he?
the conditions into account. And knowing that Hassan Chima is a selector and Rehanul Haq is with the team, I
Yeah.
Hopefully.
hope
Fingers
that
crossed.
Fahim eventually does make it into those plans, because I don't see us going to Australia without Fahim. Like
This
it's
is the
simple as
kind of
that.
party we need. Okay.
Huh.
But listen. I don't mean to burst your bubble, but I just saw a tweet that said reports are coming in that both Mickey Arthur and the coach of the
Oh
women's
God.
team, Mark Bowles, their contracts are set to be terminated.
For the love of oh, my
God.
phone just fell.
He's obviously really shocked by the news.
Yaar, ab ye kya matlab? Where is this?
This is one of the tweets. My Twitter isn't working, by the way. I don't know what's happened to it, but this is 26 minutes ago. A random account tweeted this. But I
Honestly,
won't say their name because I don't know if this news is true or not, but I do know that they have sources with people who would know things.
honestly,
Go.
all I'm saying is Mickey Arthur was smart not to
Yeah.
leave his job in England. He was like, I know you guys too well. I'm not doing this. I'm not taking chances. But guys, please,
See, that's the thing.
I don't get this, man. You can't do this.
You're 3 months away from an ODI World Cup. Why are you changing coaches? Like, what? I don't understand. Boomers in Pakistan have already destroyed everything there is in this country. But even with cricket, they need to make it all about their egos. Najam Sethi wants his person in the job. Ramiz Raja wants his person in the job.
God.
Zaka Ashraf comes in and he's like, he's thinking that a coach who's been in his role for all of like 3 months, oh, let's change him. They've only had one series and like we won that series. So what's your justification for sacking them? Like, it's
Yeah.
so stupid.
Also, Socho, they are trying to focus on winning tests in Sri Lanka, which isn't easy. Granted, we drew the series last year, but let's be real. we won that first test on a miracle, and that miracle's name is Abdullah Shafiq, and then we lost the second one terribly. So we need to do well this one, and we can,
Yeah.
and we should, and they should be focused on that. Mickey Arthur and the boys should be focused on winning that. And instead, they're like, oh, will our coach be gone by the end of the series? Will we go to him
And
with ugh,
and Babar got asked
Honest,
about this, and like he got asked
did
in the
he?
presser, right? That what do you think of the
huh?
whole like PCB situation? And he's like, oh, we just focus on what's on the field. And I don't believe that. Obviously, he has to say that in public. But at the end of the day, players also need a sense of stability around them, right? Like if you're gonna keep chopping and changing who's running the team every few months, like the players are it takes time for a coach's ideals to apply on the squad. But if you 3 months in, you bring in a new coach, it's gonna start that process from scratch all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like, if Mickey Arthur is going, can they please let us keep Hassan Chima? Please, please. Like, just pretty please. I'm negotiating. This is my 5 stages of grief. I've come to bargaining now.
But now at least everyone who's listening knows where our loyalties lie. It's not with Mickey Arthur, it's with one of the guys he hired.
I
I
mean,
can't
yeah,
keep doing this. We're running around in circles.
for the first time in our lives, we saw the PCB doing something smart, and it lasted for all of 3 months. But hopefully, this obviously no like top tier outlet has reported this yet. But we've been seeing
Yeah.
rumblings of this on Twitter for a few days. Let's hope it's just let's hope the uncles in the boardroom come to their senses and decide to make something else their play toy in the PCB. Like
Yeah.
you can sack all the CEOs, all the finance people you want. Go there, make your changes
Yeah.
there, leave the team management alone.
Yeah, I mean, don't they have better things to do? There's so much work that's needed. I mean, forget women's cricket, which needs so many things. There's things in men's cricket you guys can be busy with. Instead, they're like, oh, let's fix what's not broken. But I also think it's incredible that when Ramiz was here, we were like, he sucks. He's doing all of this and this and this wrong. And then Sethi came, and then do you guys remember when Afridi was our chief selector?
Yeah.
And God knows what was happening, and we were losing everything, and pata nahi kya ho raha tha.
He was doing a presser in the middle of the test match. I
Yeah.
remember that.
And we were like, oh my God, bring Ramiz back. What's happening? And then, Sethi actually started doing some things that were like kind of good, aka bringing Chima on board. And just like, things were like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. And now this guy, who I don't even want to say his name, I'm just sick of this, passing the parcel. And then, they're known by the political parties they're associated with, which just says everything about Pakistan cricket and Pakistan's government and how things work here. And it is so frustrating to be a fan and to just be like, can you guys be normal for once? I mean, we should be talking about cricket. And instead, we're ranting about bureaucratic blah, blah, blah.
My entire
like,
issue is shouldn't I'm pretty sure there's a legal retirement age in Pakistan, and literally the last two appointments are I think they're 10, 15 years past it. Like
isn't it 80? I don't know.
it's
I feel like I might be
yeah,
making that up.
if 80s are retirement age, we need help. Like
Yeah,
no one
I
should
don't
be
know. I don't know. I think I'm wrong, actually. Never mind.
I'm pretty sure it's 65 or something, and both these uncles are in their 70s. So
or at least it should be 65.
It probably is, to be honest. I mean, who do you know is working at 80? I feel like I just got that out
why
from random.
why is an uncle who was born when Liaquat Ali Khan was our prime minister running the PCB, man? Like, come on.
Was he
Like,
actually?
I'm guessing. Like,
No, probably,
I'm
honestly.
Yeah,
it was
honestly, that sounds real.
it was probably during the Ayub tenure at the latest. Like,
I don't
Latest,
know when
yeah.
that was. I wasn't very good at history back in school, so I don't know when that was.
yeah. Anyways, I think we can keep ranting about the PCB forever. When there is some change, we'll do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to talk about Herrera. So we already talked about Shan, and
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
biggest fear right now is that okay, Shan did really well in the tour match. But
Yeah.
and they're probably gonna play him in both the tests now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is what if he fails in these two tests and they decide to debut Herrera in Australia? Like I will actually I don't want to see that happen.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we throw in a youngster in Australia,
Yeah.
is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 youngsters in Australia. Actually, you know what? We might have done more of that. I don't know.
There
I'm
were
only
three.
traumatized.
Like Shaheen had already played a few. Like he played like 3 tests.
Yeah,
I don't know how many tests
yeah,
he had played for us at that point.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think,
Musa, man, poor Musa, he hasn't recovered from that. Like I genuinely
God.
feel for the
Remember
guy.
when he was like everything?
People
yeah,
make him the butt of all jokes nowadays, but I'm like, I feel for the guy, man. Like he was thrown in the deep end, and
yeah.
while Naseem obviously was featured in the plans more long term, Musa just kind of got lost in the shuffle. Like no one really cared about
Yeah.
him after that.
Although I
I
will
feel
say
bad for him.
last year, I don't know which match this was. God, I wish I'd done more research before this episode, but there was one bit where one innings, one match, was it near the final? Was it the final? Where he was just bowling like a workhorse. And it was really cool to watch.
It was the
So I
final,
do
I think.
think, yeah,
Yeah, I was
it
the
was
final.
an
It
important
was
match.
the
And I
final.
remember people were like freaking out about it because it
Huh.
was really, it's something to watch, like a fast bowler running in and just bowling again and
Yeah.
again and again. It's incredible to watch. So I do think that he might be somewhere close to a comeback. But you know, like the conversation we're having right now is about how traumatizing it is for a youngster to just be thrown
Yeah.
in a series in Australia where you're set up for failure, and not just failure, but like
Yeah.
traumatizing kind of failure. Because and then, you know, to be a batter as well. Yeah, it's not nice.
Honestly,
I think that would be unfair.
and like no, our pacers no matter how great Shaheen, Naseem, and whoever goes with them is, they're gonna be, because knowing our audience, they're gonna be pitted against Pat Cummins and his men, which is ridiculous. Because they're gonna be like, oh, ye to dekho, inka stamina dekho. Like, yeah, sure. Compare Shaheen to Mitchell Stark. Do that. I salute your cricket knowledge. That's exactly how you should analyze a game. Like, I'm just saying it's gonna happen, and I'm terrified for that because people are gonna jump on that bandwagon and say कि उनका pace attack देखो, हमारा pace attack देखो, हम तो best, like we're known for our pace attack. Pakistan is known for XYZ, but we're like failing, and it's not gonna sit well with me.
And you know what really pisses me off about these comparisons is we literally saw this last year. It's not even okay, this happened 5, 6 years ago. We saw Shaheen being Pakistan's premier pacer, and according to some people, the biggest player in the country. Uh, obviously it's between him or Babar, but you saw your one of your biggest commodities in the country, and the PCB literally mismanaged his injury in every way possible to the point where he had to go to England and pay for his own expenses. PCB will tell you, no, we reimbursed him, but that only happened because social media threw up a whole shitstorm and told them to, like what's going on? Like, why are you guys making him pay out of pocket? You're going to compare this to Mitchell Stark, who plays primarily just Test cricket for Australia. He plays the
Mhm.
odd bilateral ODI. He doesn't play bilateral T20s at all,
Yeah,
and he gets paid about $1 million a year from his national contract. Shaheen makes,
yeah,
I think, maybe 10-20% of that. It's just such a stupid comparison. Like, and they're
Yeah,
like, oh, why is Shaheen going to play in the T20 Blast? Oh, why is Shaheen going to play this league? Why is he going to play It's because
yeah,
our players aren't paid enough. Simple as that.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, yeah, if you are able to choose a life to be born in, and you love cricket, you should not, under any circumstances, just be like, "Hey God, let me be born anywhere. Choose Australia, choose England." Okay, there's no other place. I wouldn't even say India because I mean, I now that I've become friends with people from India and I've started following Indian cricket, there's a little bit of, you know, politics and all that stuff there as well. It's better to be white, okay, or brown if you're like Uzi Khwaja type, um, and just be born in Australia, nowhere
yeah.
else. Okay, like
And
yeah.
they win when it matters, so that also helps.
Oh yeah, that too.
That's all right. We can. It's 2023 is our time. Don't worry.
Is it?
I'm
Is
not
it?
saying it. I'm not saying it. मेरे से बड़ा कोई jinx
My
नहीं है.
my
मैं तो
golden
अपना
rule is the more chaos leading up to a tournament, the better the chance of us winning it. And we've had like, we had those three
God.
years of normalcy under Wasim Khan. I feel like God's making up for that lack of chaos in the space of 6 months this year.
There was quite a bit of
Honestly,
chaos in 2021, though. Remember? I mean, we were whitewashed by England's Patani Kya team.
Yeah,
And or we
yeah.
whitewashed, I think we won one. Anyways, in like two
no,
series.
we were whitewashed.
Yeah, and okay, great. And then we lost our coaching staff and we lost our chairman. And Ramiz randomly came in and started touring the stadiums while matches are going on. And then we also got cancelled tours, and then we went and lost. I mean, I know that it was an inconsequential
I mean, we
T20 World
beat,
Cup.
I mean, we beat India in that World
See,
Cup. So
no, we lost the cup, man.
if we lost with them, we would have won the whole thing. It's a bit of a trade-off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Which is why, if Babar Azam is listening to this, you don't need to win the one in Ahmedabad. You got to wait till the final.
He said that already. I think like a version of that. He was like, we're not focusing on one match, we're focusing on the cup.
Good.
As far as I'm concerned, they can rest. Babar can take a rest that day. Like
Honestly.
we can win the rest of our matches, and then because if we win that match, that's like the law of diminishing returns kicks in at that point.
Oh God. Oh, I'm getting too stressed thinking about the World Cup. And the fact that you're like 2023 is our year when we've got a World Cup in India and then we've got a test series in Australia. And yesterday when Shadab's article came out, for the first time, I think in my entire existence, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for the test series in Australia for the first time. I've never ever
Yeah,
felt like that, ever. Because there's always been like a sense of dread for as long as I can remember.
same.
But yeah, cautious optimism is what I would
I
describe it
think
as.
that interview was a real shut up call to all the uncles who say Shadab has no desire to play Test cricket. Like,
Yeah,
why
Yeah.
wouldn't he want to, man? This is a guy who's been chronically injured for the
Shadab.
last 3 years. Now, if he played Test cricket and got injured, you guys would like people would start saying, "Oh, he's so non-serious about his cricket. He's this that." Like, come on,
Yeah.
like you have an
Yeah,
ODI
it was
World Cup. I prioritize that over any Test series, man. Like, there's a reason Shadab hasn't played
Absolutely.
first class cricket in the last 3 years. It's because he's I would say after Babar and Shaheen, he's our most important white ball player. And in T20s, he's
yeah,
arguably our most important player.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
Like even with what's gonna happen with Shadab, like it's the same what happened with Haris Rauf when he played the test and he got injured or whatever went down there.
Hmm.
It was the same. पहले लोग कहते कि he's not serious. He's just like a T20 bowler. And then when he did debut in his test, people were like, why did he debut? And then when he didn't get to play the second match, they were like, what is this? ये इसके drama, like what are you happy with? मुझे एकदम
They're
बता
never
दो वो
happy.
क्या
Nah,
करे?
that's just
वो
it.
क्या
They're just
करे?
waiting. Yeah. They're just waiting for them to mess up, for them to get
Yeah,
injured. I do think that
And
even beyond the Australian news, I thought that his
yeah,
interview was really cool.
yeah.
Like, I
It
think
was
he
really
was really brave, and the things he said were really awesome. And it's just like hearing Shadab, or rather reading Shadab, just talk about how he is as a leader and what matters to him and what he thinks we should be doing to win and things like that. It's so nice to kind of see how he thinks. But
also
yeah,
the
this
most
story he
interesting,
shared about Rehanul Haq.
so
How
cute.
like yeah, it was like after they lost the Zimbabwe game, the entire team was like down and bad. Like they were just like, this is over. And then Rehanul Haq sent Shadab Khan a speech. He said that you give it when you win the man of the tournament. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That killed me.
But yeah, sorry, CD, go on.
oh no. Yeah, no, the Rehan bit was like proper special. I think people underestimate how much these guys have given to Pakistan cricket,
Yeah.
right? Like, and Shadab mentioned as well, right? When he was struggling through injury, like they really supported him. And they did the same for Roman Reis when he was out for like a very
Mm,
Yeah.
long time. And Shadab mentioned that as well, where like they got him like that bowling coach role with Islamabad.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
the part that really intrigued me was they asked him about Islamabad United, right? Like you guys play such attacking cricket, you guys play
Yeah.
such like
Yeah.
modern, you guys have such a forward-thinking way of doing things. He said, and they asked him, why do you think Pakistan hasn't uh, embraced that yet, right? And he brought up the fact that maybe it's because we haven't won that big one yet. and like that's sort of that
Yeah.
blocker for us. I just feel like everything is building up to these guys, and they're aware that we should have won those last two T20 World Cups. They're aware they let it slip through their fingers, and I think they're determined to correct that this year.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm getting goosebumps. Stop.
Like from what I've
Ah.
heard from people who like work in PCB, they've said like they've told me, okay, it's Shadab, Haris Rauf, and Naseem who take every loss to heart. Like the three of them do not get over it. They will never get like I heard it after the Asia Cup had gone, and they were like, these three guys do not forget losses. They just stay with the losses, but they don't show it to like obviously fans.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone says it in different ways. The players are going through a lot that the fans never realize. But to know that these are like real, actual human beings who
Yeah.
are going through these feelings, they're not just, I think it also humanizes them.
Absolutely.
Interviews like these, because they're otherwise very unapproachable. I feel like PCB gatekeeps them. I hope like if PCB is listening, give them more interviews with like people. Like we're gatekeeping our players for no reason.
And they're
Yeah.
just so like they are fun people to listen to. They have personality.
Yeah,
Like you don't need to protect them so much because this is how
yeah,
they're gonna get more comfortable. And because the issue is the PCB doesn't let them give interviews, and then when they actually have to
yeah,
give them, that's when they look very confused, and that's because they haven't had enough exposure to such a
yeah,
media interaction before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
yeah,
but
Absolutely.
I think the main thing with Naseem,
yeah.
Naseem, you brought up Naseem taking losses too seriously. As a Quetta fan, seeing him in that dugout the entire season,
Gosh,
I wanted to go there and give him a hug, man. Like this guy was, he just wanted out of there.
what a year, bichara. Uska bhi, like
Yeah.
they're too young, man. I just keep thinking of all of them. Even Shadab is like what 24. Like
Hmm.
all of them are too young to be going through so much. Like God, if like you're listening, please, they need a break. They're just kids. Relatively, they're kids. They deserve
Also, this
better.
is my appeal to Pakistan Twitter. Please stop posting that Naseem Shah spell from the final. I get it.
Oh
I get
God.
it. We should have won that. Now stop reminding me about it. I want to like compartmentalize that in my brain and forget about it.
Ek though, I don't even remember watching that. Okay, Zoe and I were talking about this when we met recently. The only reason I actually remember it because I was thinking about it after we spoke, Zoha, is because I see that video on the TL so many times that I can actually describe that spell to you. It is so stop. Let's just like
Yeah.
not talk about 2021, not talk about 2022. I mean, bring up 2011 for all I care. That shit hurts less because I don't remember that really well anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I block out memories. I'm very good at that. तो मुझे तो कुछ भी नहीं याद. मैं भूल जाती हूँ. मैं कहती हूँ like this is
यार
not
लेकिन ये
happening.
पिछले दो वाले भूलने ही नहीं दे रहे ना ये लोग. It's like
Yeah,
every other day.
oh,
It's either the Naseem spell or it's that Shaheen first over from that semi-final. And I'm like, bhai, bas kar do yaar, bas kar do. I don't want to see this anymore.
I think I've mentioned it before, but the semi-final 2021, that was my birthday. And every single
Oh
year,
yeah.
they're like, throwback, 11th November is the day we lost to Australia. Like, this cannot be my legacy. Everyone move on.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, last year,
go on, go on.
no, I was just saying, last year they made like edits of our loss and said like, last year, I was like, enough.
Yeah, I think the only time, and this is just one time, where revisiting a loss is allowed, and I think this should be a rule, is just before we're about to play a final, and it has to be an important final. I won't say which one. There's only one final this year. But you make a compilation of all the heartbreaks that we've had. And it can be like a small series, I don't care. It can be the test series, I don't care. It can be the semi-final, final, whatever. And then you're like, this is it. We have to win this. And then after we win, you add the winning moments to the video. And that is the only time you're allowed to revisit losses, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay. Right. So I think we've ranted quite a bit. There were a few things we want to discuss that we didn't get to because, as always, we ended up talking and going on tangents. But I hope you enjoyed that conversation. On a parting note, let's just all predict how this series is going to go. I'll start. I don't want to be that person that says, I wanted to say 1-1, but that was what last year was. I want to say 2-0 to Pakistan. And I want the man of the series to be, oh, should I say it? Because whenever I say it, I jinx this. I'm gonna say I want it to be a batter, but I won't say who. Okay, so go on. You go next.
Okay, so I'll take either 1-0 to Pakistan or 2-0. I'm not taking a loss. I cannot take another loss. So it's fine if we can draw one or if like we win both, great. My man of the series, I hope I don't jinx it, but Shaheen. It's his comeback. I want him to do that. So yeah, I hope it's Shaheen. Also,
That's
I
more
have a big
realistic, I
fast
think.
bowling bias. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more realistic than mine, to be honest. Go on, CD.
On the note of Shaheen, he's on 99 wickets. And what's wild is he has 99 in 25 tests. At PCB, please arrange more tests. We want Shaheen to retire with more than 300 test wickets somehow. Make it possible,
Yeah.
please. I know I'm like reaching for the sky here, but yeah. My prediction is we're gonna win 2-0. I think we're better placed this time because last year our biggest issue was with the middle order not being able to negotiate the spin well. We were playing Rizwan as high up as number 4 in one innings, I think. But this time I think we're better placed. We're gonna have Babar, then we're gonna have Saud Shakil, we're gonna have Sarfaraz. So and we're gonna have Salman Ali Agha. So that's 4
Yeah.
batters who can negotiate
Yeah.
the spin really well. So I think we're well placed. My man of the series is Saud. I think this is
Ooh.
gonna be his coming of age series. And my hot prediction for this series is a Hassan Ali fifer.
Oh, I love that.
Ooh.
Oh, I want to steal that prediction. I want that too. I want that so bad. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's it for today then. I don't know when we'll be back, to be honest. If we win the first test, Zohan, I promise to do an epic episode. And maybe we'll have CD back on and we'll have another friend as well. If
Yeah.
we lose, I can't guarantee anything. If it's an epic draw, I don't know. We'll decide. I have no idea. See you guys.
So it all relies on how the match goes. So if you want to
Yeah,
see us,
basically.
better pray for the match.
If we lose, you won't see any of us for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
I'm
Yeah.
waiting. Like honestly, just I hope it goes well. I cannot take any losses. That's
Yeah.
my ultimatum to PCB.
I actually have a better idea. If we win, there'll be a double wicket maiden, but if we lose, there'll be a cover drive podcast so that I can scream my lungs out.
To soften the blow or like a double punishment?
Soften the blow. Get
Yeah,
that rant
yeah.
out of my system.
Yeah. And all of Twitter would agree with that. But yes, thank you for joining us. And we really, really hope you enjoyed this episode. And yeah, we'll catch you whenever we catch you next. Bye, everyone.
Bye.